At the start of 2021, I set myself the challenge to paint 1,000 points of the worst army in the Middle-earth strategy battle game. 11 months later, I still haven't finished. Hello and welcome to another Battle Games in Middle-earth Ruffian building video. This is, I think, the third or fourth part of my series painting 1,000 points of Ruffians. Now, these are the worst models in the Middle-earth strategy battle game by some stretch. They're Strength 3, Defense 3, Courage 2. They're just absolutely pants, but you can get an awful lot of them for 1,000 points. So in January, as I mentioned, I started building an army of Ruffians with the intention of taking them to Warhammer World's premier 1,000 point event in December, not Throne of Skulls. It's changed its name to Battles in Middle-earth or something like that. Either way, it's 1,000 points, it's all about theme and never about filth, so I thought this is the time to see whether Ruffians are actually a viable army. But of course, there are a few hurdles in the way. Number one hurdle was, of course, the cost. This is a Warhammer World event, this is GW, I can't actually use proxies or third-party miniatures as much as there are plenty of cool Ruffian-type miniatures out there. It's just not possible, so I need to get a lot of Ruffians, and these guys are damned expensive. So I asked you guys to chip in and help, and by God have you delivered so much. Well, literally delivered hundreds of Ruffians, or over 100 Ruffians, which is absolutely magnificent. So I want to just say, first of all, to all of my Ruffian supporters, thank you so much for contributing to the task. It's been amazing seeing all of you guys contributing over the year to this huge stock of Ruffians. Second of all, I wanted to set myself not just the challenge of painting all these Ruffians for you people who have provided these wonderful Ruffians, but I also wanted to actually paint them in a different kind of manner, not just painting standard grubby brown or blacks or whatever it is that the Ruffian style usually is. No, I wanted to make something a little bit special, so I set you the challenge. If you were sending me something to paint in my Ruffian painting commission painting service, then I wanted to do it with a bit of style, a bit of something. So people delivered. I started with Russell and his football hooligan style, and it's been an absolute pleasure. So, thank you so much for doing that, and it means I now have 1,000 points of Ruffians, but not painted, as I keep hinting at. More on that later. First, let's paint some of these darned Ruffians. So this is over the course of a very long time. Many months of painting has gone into this. And the first challenge was to paint RedCoat Ruffians, Napoleonic RedCoats. And as you can see, I'm working my way through there with a white undercoat and lots of bright reds, as well as the browns and blacks and all that sort of stuff you expect. But I used actual real life stuff as inspiration for this Napoleonic Ruffian. Essentially, I looked at some historical figures. This is a guy from the 69th Regiment in the Napoleonic Wars, the Lincolnshire Regiment, and you can see the greens there on his sort of sleeves and his cufflinks and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted to use that as an inspiration for this paint job. And I find that when I'm painting something from the Lord of the Rings that hasn't already got a very clear, defined colour scheme based on the films, these guys obviously weren't in the films, I like to take inspirations from real life. And even with a Napoleonic Redcoat themed Ruffian, you can take that inspiration, and I've really loved that about this whole experience of painting these Ruffians in different styles. You can come up with some really cool things. So there we go, these are the Napoleonic Redcoat Ruffians, and I think they look pretty spiffing actually. Generally look Ruffian-like, but of course with a hint of Redcoat, and that's what I absolutely love about this project. But we can't stop there. So these are the Cyberpunk Ruffians. These are just so cool. These are probably my favourite Ruffians in the whole set. And essentially, what I did to paint them, I used a black undercoat and edge highlighted the whole of the jerkin, or whatever you want to call the coat, in Stegadon scale green, with this, just to give it this kind of slightly otherworldly edge. And this was for Nathan Talbot. You for some reason suggested Cyberpunk Ruffians, and when I got the request for that, I thought, I really do not know how I'm going to be able to do this in actual colours and make the Ruffians look normal, but I think creating a challenge like this allowed me to be really creative with the way I painted the models. So I absolutely love this. They turned out to be my favourite Ruffians, and that's why I'm painting more of them now, actually. Still haven't finished them. And I just think the end product is absolutely fantastic. So here, the Cyberpunk Ruffians in all their glory, with greens and purples and bright reds, all sort of providing that hugely interesting contrast to the dark, sort of bluey tinted leathery jerkins that they've got. And I just love painting these. They look slightly odd and out of character, maybe even un-Middle-earthy, some would say. But I think they look so good, I decided to paint Sid Bryethorn, the Ruffian leader, in a very similar colour scheme too. So that's roughly the halfway mark. I painted 24 more standard Ruffians in the colour scheme I've painted in another painting tutorial, check out that other video, and I've also got quite a number of, if I might say so, really very nice Ruffian heroes. The new Forge World models are absolutely outstanding, and the old Perry sculpts do pretty much hold their own for Sharky and Worm. But it felt like time to take them to the tabletop for once. So I took them to the Battle Streams in Middle-earth meetup and had a couple of games against all hero armies. Not ideal practicing, but good to get my bearings with how to run such a large army. This was 65 models and only 650 points, so still 350 points to go and no more heroes to drop in. So with that, I needed things to hurry on up a bit. Painting this many troops, spray cans really come into their own, not just for your white undercoats like these ones, but also for your base colours themselves. So that's your browns, your dark blues, or your greens, or even sort of reddish leathery colours have really helped. And I also used a yellow spray can. I can't even remember what I bought it for, but it certainly came in use. I used it to turn these Ruffians into Baratheon troops. This was inspired by Darren Dickinson, who provided the Ruffians you're seeing. He always found the Baratheon troops from the Game of Thrones series to be the cool guys and ultimately the rightful heirs of the throne. But even if that didn't work out, at least we can pay tribute to them with these yellow guys with the black stags emblazoned on their jerkins. It's just another example of how we can use anything to inspire our Middle-earth painting, and I think that might be taking it a bit to an extreme with these next ones. You can see, very plain, very basic. No, I'm just kidding. These aren't the end product, but prepare yourself. Yep, that's right, these are bright pink and pastel blue, and these were inspired by Skyler who paid for these guys and wanted me to paint them in a pastel scheme. And actually they were a little bit inspired by my own lovely Louise, my girlfriend, who I asked to paint one model during lockdown last year, and she painted an elf in blue and pink using exactly these colours. I couldn't help but paint my Ruffians a little bit inspired by her. But of course, inspiration can't always strike from such wholesome thoughts.
Find me the ship's dictionary, mastermate. Oh!
That's right, Captain Pugwash, everyone's favourite filth-filled cartoon from their childhood, all about seaman stains, Roger the cabin boy and other such wonderful titled heroes. They were the questionable inspiration to these questionable Ruffians. Yes, that's right, I'm doing pirate Ruffians for Gaetan and Adam, who both wanted some pirate-themed guys, and I genuinely couldn't think of how to make Ruffians look distinctively piratey. That is until I came across this glorious picture of Captain Pugwash and his friends. And you'll notice the main element here is of course those red and black stripes. So I try to replicate that on all of my pirate models, whether it's red and black stripes, white and black stripes, or just the dark browns and grimy blues. I tried to make them all look a little bit more like Pugwash and the gang. And with that, it's finished. It's done. Well, almost. More on that in a second. But first, we've got 1,000 points here, and I've mentioned a lot of times there's a lot of models. But what exactly can you get in the Chief's Ruffians army list? It's a legendary legion that I'm going to be using for 1,000 points. It's a lot of models. Right, let's delve into this because we've got a lot going on. First of all, we've got 139 models. That's a lot of models. We've got 43 bows. Now that is saying something. They're the short range bows, but still 43 bows. Hitting on 5s, but still 43 bows. We've also got 22 whips, which are 1-inch range throwing weapons at strength 1. So again, not to be sniffed at. And also 139 models. Let me keep banging on about that. We also have a lot of heroes, but not as many as you would think, considering the number of models, because there's a special rule that you can have basically ruffians led by no one. And the reason I mentioned that I have to have all the heroes is because you have to have the heroes before you have those warbands of ruffians. So you just couldn't do 1,000 points without having all of the heroes and therefore getting everyone, which means you do have to take some hobbits, but more on that in a second. Let's just delve into the actual army list. We've got Sharky and Worm, of course the leaders, with 6 ruffians with bows, 8 ruffians in total, and 3 ruffians with whip. Then we've got Sid Brythorn, the only model in the whole list which has more than 1 point of might, and he has 5 ruffians with bow with him, 7 ruffians and 3 with whip. Then we've got Rowan Thistlewood, who's a ruffian enforcer, and he can set fire to terrain, which is pretty cool. And he is leading 4 ruffians with bow, 6 ruffians and 2 ruffians with whip. Then there's Bill Fernie, who has a kind of, it's the opposite to Madrill. Essentially, you can choose a hero on the opponent's side and they get a -1 to their deployment in Maelstrom. Not bad, but unlikely to come into effect a lot of times. He's got 4 ruffians, 6 ruffians without anything, 4 with a bow, 6 without anything and 2 with a whip. Then we've got Lotho Sackville Baggins leading the same. Then we've got Ted Sandyman. Sadly, he has to be in this list. And he has to take Hobbit Militia with him. So I've just used 3 Hobbit Militia. So apologies for breaking rules a bit. But I'm taking 3 Hobbit Militia because it just means that the numbers work out a bit better. Harry Goatleaf is next. Harry Goatleaf from the Quest of the Ringbearer. He's included in the army list. It says in the Quest of the Ringbearer book. Therefore, I have to have him. So he's in, and he's got 4 ruffians with bow, 6 with nothing, and 2 with whip in there as well. And then the rest of the warbands, 8, 9, 10, and 11 warband, are made up with just 4 ruffians with bow, 6 ruffians without anything, and 2 with whip. As I say, 43 bows, 22 whips, 139 models, and 8 might. So, what do I do with this army to actually make it win? I mean, I don't do anything really, do I? Let's be honest, the only strategy I can possibly think of is send forth all legions and literally roll the guys forward like a kind of steamroller, and that's probably made of glass, and then hope I can just overwhelm them with bodies. The other thing, of course, is I can shoot into combat, and I really don't care about killing my own guys because I've got 139 of them. So, that's it. Except, it's not it. Because I still haven't finished. Well, it wouldn't be last-minute tournament preparation if it wasn't for one last warband of ruffians left to paint. They've got some paint on them and they're getting there, but with just one night left to go, I want these painted and based and dried and ready and packed away in time for the tournament. And I'm not sure I've got enough time to do it. So will I be able to paint the last of the ruffians up and get to Throne of Skulls on time with a fully painted, fully functioning 139 model army? Find out in the next video in the series, where hopefully we'll be able to see footage of some of the games, some of the action in play with all of these ruffians on the table. I've no idea how it's going to work. Hopefully it's going to be fun for my opponents to play against, because there's something a bit worrying about the idea of having to move 139 models. Hopefully it's a bit of fun. But also, I want you to see a little bit of something else that I have prepared. I'll keep that one up my wizard sleeve for next time. Thanks for watching. Boo-ra-rum.